Hello and welcome to another Sonic Lab. We've got another visit from Simon Stokes from Shugle Studios in Glasgow, who's an Ableton certified trainer. You might remember Simon very kindly came down and showed us the wavetable synthesizer, which was the sort of last big point release, wasn't it, with Ableton Live?
That's right.
And now with 10.1, there's a new CV Tools pack, which is, what is that exactly?
It's coming out soon. It's a pack of Max for Live devices, which basically let you integrate your modular or other analog hardware with your live setup.
Right, so I mean the idea being you need some sort of DC coupled interface which will allow you to speak CV from your audio card effectively.
Exactly.
And that can either be like a Motu, RME, or there are loads of different ones, but we've got an expert sleepers here on an ADAT light pipe, right?
That's it, yeah, and this just lets us send up to 8 control voltages from Ableton Live direct into the modular, and then we can bring the sound back as well.
So what's the what does it come? What units does it come with?
It's got a whole bunch of different stuff. If we look inside it, we've got a few instruments. One which lets you send notes, send envelopes.
Like almost like a monosynth voice, effectively.
Yeah, it's like an all-in-one kind of beast. That's what we're going to primarily be looking at today. We can send triggers out if you've got drum modules and things. You can send triggers, or even if you just want to tell envelopes to start and different interesting rhythms, we can do that. We've got some modulation devices for bringing CV back from the modular into your live setup, for sending LFOs and interesting shapes.
Oh, so we can read CV back into the system.
Yeah, it comes the other way as well.
All right,
yeah.
well, let's start with the beginning then. What do we need to do to get going?
Let's take a look at a CV instrument. This is your kind of main one, I guess. This is, at its core, it just is a kind of CV and pitch, gate and pitch device, which lets you send out notes to your modular.
So it's like a MIDI to CV kind of effectively a single channel.
It's pretty simple, really. If you turn on, for the pitch one, we can send the CV out to one of our 8 outputs on this ADAT Expert Sleeper. So if I turn this on, you should see on number 1 now,
all right,
as I play on push, we're getting some sort of level coming out.
Yeah, so that's a voltage.
That's a voltage just coming straight out. So that means that if I take the output of one of my oscillators, say for example this is braids, it's just a really nice kind of multi-oscillator, a good all-rounder. If I take the output of that to here and then connect my control voltage direct into it, now my push.
All right, so it's playing it. I mean, we're just hearing the raw tone. That's not calibrated though, because we do need to calibrate, don't you?
Yeah, you can hear that it sounds, really, when I'm in the scale of A minor, I should be able to...
Yeah, that's not right.
Play up with 3 fingers, but it's not sounding right at all.
So can you set that up?
Yes.
So when this will calibrate, what it does is effectively it takes the output, comes back in, reads the pitch, goes, is this right? And then makes fine adjustments. So the calibration routine requires you to tune to note. So you go to a C3.
And then we just go next and start, and then it just whizzes through, calibrates it up. This is a process which...
And it can work up to like 8 octaves, because a lot of analog modules only work over 3 or 4 or 5 octaves, and the older ones are even worse. So this can actually smooth out those imperfections and give you a much wider operating range on external analog gear, right?
Exactly, yeah. Once we've finished with that, that's it. Now we're with push.
There we go.
And whatever scale we choose on push, so you've got minor blues.
Right, and we can save that calibration as well. So if we've got something particularly old and gnarly, we can go, let's save that, you know.
Exactly, okay. You can just save this CV instrument device. Right. And you could save a different calibration for all your different instruments if you wanted to, yeah. So we've got pitch coming into there, which is nice, but really modular is all about sending modulation signals into it to make parameters move. Right. And that's what makes it much more interesting. So are
you going to set something up for us now?
Yeah, well, we could send gate. Gate basically is an on-off signal, which you normally use to trigger an envelope or do something like that. I find it a little bit dull for our purposes, so we can open up CV instrument here.
And it's got 2 envelopes already in it as well.
2 envelopes, this kind of nice wave shaper thing, and a bunch of other stuff over here as well that we can play with.
CV mapping and
CV mapping, velocity mapping, all this kind of stuff. So really, if I wanted to take an envelope like this, now normally, you know, envelopes are quite precious in your modular. You maybe have 4 or 5 or something like that, and you want to conserve them as much as possible.
So we can use this in software.
Yeah, you can use this and just fire a couple out. So you see what I'm doing is taking this envelope, firing out of CV2 here. So when I press a key,
that envelope triggers. Right.
That envelope triggers, and I could use that for something very basic, like just turning the volume up and down. Like if we listen to that now, when I press a key, we're just using it like a standard kind of envelope you'd have on any synthesizer.
Controlling a VCA.
Yeah, totally. Or we could use it to control some kind of like modulation on our unit. So let's just say,
right.
Now we've got a wave folder and we're using the CV here to control which is quite nice as well. And again, it's just another thing, just frees up a little bit more of your system for you to play with.
Yeah, well, I didn't mention what DC coupled is. DC coupled interfaces allow you to actually output control voltages, because normally with audio interfaces, they're filtered, so they don't go down that low. They kind of DC filtered, whereas DC coupled interface allows it to go right down and for you to output voltage and input voltage.
Yeah, exactly. And this kind of envelope here is just running in free mode, which just means as I play it, it just runs as a normal envelope. Stick it to echo mode, and then suddenly we have this kind of like a kind of repeated envelope, which you can change the feedback on, and it works like a kind of like it's almost like a delay, but it's just the CV.
That's some clever stuff.
It. Because
and it'll loop as well, will it?
Yeah, it'll loop. You can put it into looping mode so that every time it gets to the end of the envelope, it goes back to the beginning, which means you can get it going super fast if you want to.
It goes into audio rates.
Yeah, it goes really, really quick on this. In fact, we have to. So you can almost like FM modulate just off the back of that, which is nice. So yeah, there's lots of interesting modes. I'll just go back to free mode for just now. And all of that can be controlled.
It's integrated via push as well.
From push. So we've got, let's just go into the envelope on push here. And we've got our attack and decay. So I can control that really easily. Again, once we record something, we can automate that. We can use.
So essentially, I mean, this is almost like a single analog voice, effectively, but in control mode.
Yeah, totally. And it just gives you a whole load of control. So, and you see what it's doing is bringing the audio back from the modular, as well as sending the CV. Well. Yeah, so as soon as we've done that, that means I pop a little. Everybody loves an echo. I think we talked about this last time we were here.
Yes, I remember it was one of your favourites.
Yeah. And then it's, you know, it feels like it's part of your system now.
Right.
And later on, we can also use voltage from this to then control echo again. So they talk to each other so much better than ever before, really, which is lovely. So let's have a look here. So we've got a beat. I've got just some drums. I've got a synth. And then I was just thinking we could just put in something like that. That was my kind of human time in there, but a quick quantize, nothing a wee quantize can't fix.
Absolutely.
And if I go back to my CV instrument on push, I've now got my decay.
So we can automate all of this stuff.
Exactly. Put it into record. And now that decay is moving by itself, and we've got a bit of interesting kind of stuff going on. As well as the echo, obviously we could just get a bit of movement on that as well, and you can see now that that's just kind of moving by itself. So everything's automatable. That makes it all feel like part of the one system, if you like.
So are there LFOs in here as well?
Yeah, there's LFOs built in. So if we've got our there's two of those envelopes, incidentally. We can send
both loop, right?
Yeah,
okay.
they both loop. Like we could. We'll use another one in a little bit, actually. We could take a wave shaper, which is basically just like an LFO, but you can draw it yourself. You see when I start to move things here, we can really play. It's snapping to the grid right now, but we can have it kind of go and do
create your own waveforms, right?
Yeah, totally, own waveforms, or there's a bunch of ones built in.
And then that can be mapped to a CV output and do whatever.
Yeah, and send it out to something. So like let's send it to another one of the outputs. So I'll take this out of output 3 on my expert sleepers, so we just choose external out number 3, and now when I press play, that's coming out of here and it's now doing this control, which is adding a wee bit of
movement and colour. Well, colour it says on the. I'm
Is
assuming
colour?
that's what it is.
Well spotted. Yeah, so we could take that. We could also use that to do something a bit more mad. Like say, for example, I plug the output of this device into a delay here, and then take it out here. And then we could use this crazy modulation to modulate this delay.
Unpredictable, man.
That's modular though, isn't it? That's what you want. You want a bit of weirdness. You don't want everything to be just exactly the same as the way it is in the box. So we've got on this wave shaper right now, we've got, you know, a waveform here, and then we've got a bunch
we can
of
go right into musical.
Yeah, we could set it to go like just every bar. So now, if you want to repeat it, it's quite intense, that. Luckily, I like intense. And we can even go into audio rate. It's probably not going to sound great on something like this, but maybe if we plugged it into the FM of this synth.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we could really play with the modifier on this. So you can hear how that's just running directly in and modulating the oscillator. Gives you so many more kind of tonal possibilities that you didn't have before. And I've not used an oscillator within the modular at all, which is really, really nice. And similarly with all of this kind of stuff, you know, you can map up, you can really go to town here. We've got velocity modules.
Right, so controllers to CV and right.
Exactly. So if
I think you're going to run out of outputs on the expert sleeper pretty quick. Yeah.
You could use all 10 of them on this, no bother. Like you could
on one module,
or all 8 of them. Sorry, yeah, you could use. It's really you're going to use a lot more.
You can come the other way as well, can you?
Yeah. So we're just running out the way at the moment. So let's grab the CV in one. So this is one of our modulation options. Take the CV in. Now what this lets us do, I'm just going to put it as DC mode because my sound card is DC coupled, is it lets us choose what input
because control voltage
you're coming from. Right. Yep. So we're just going to choose number 2, which is what mine is. And I've got a cable here which is plugged into my sound card. This is just going direct into my sound card this time. Right. Not through an expert sleepers thing or anything.
Because that's your sound card is DC coupled. So that's
exactly, yeah. So I'm just going to take one of the envelopes in my modular, set it to loop, and you can see.
Ah, right. So it's right.
It's actually drawing it on the screen. All that's of this kind of thing. Yeah, so it makes it really, really easy to use. And once you've got it there, you can just map it to whatever you want. So it's probably going to sound a bit bold mapping it to this echo, but just see what happens if I map it to the dry wet, for example. Okay. This parameter is now getting controlled by here. And if we listen, let's just solo this out. And let's go really fast. That's actually
quite nice.
Modulating that parameter at audio rate as well, so you can do something insane. That's not. I mean, you couldn't really do that with automation inside Alive, which is really nice. And you can map the same CV to
tons of things,
a bunch of different stuff if you want to,
and in positive and negative amounts.
Yeah, feedback's a dangerous one on this, but let's just see how that sounds.
That's nice, isn't it?
That came out quite well.
Yeah.
Kind of made it seem like we planned that. But.
Yeah, well done. So then it's just down to whether Ableton can actually screen refresh the audio rate control voltage.
How fast can you go?
Oh, that's nice.
Now, that is really nice. This envelope is currently running kind of out of time with my project, which is nice because it's like, you know, in the modular world, sometimes you want things to not be synced up. But if you do, then it's really simple to just take a clock out, which is just a little device. And all it does is lets you choose an output. Now, the next one I've got available is 4.
We're running this all on a single channel at the moment because it's easier to see everything.
These can be on any channel. It doesn't really matter what channel they're on. That's going to output to number 4, divisions of 16ths. So now if you look here.
Yeah, it's a bit dim, but yeah, I can see what's happening.
Yeah, so what I could do is take that and have it reset my... Oh, my envelope, which is controlling all this stuff inside of Live.
Oh wow.
So now I can still tweak the envelope.
But it's triggering in time and it's all synced.
It's
That
synced.
sounds great.
So that's sending sync out to there, bringing the CV
So
back.
you're effectively using the clock as a trigger rather than a clock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just telling that exactly when to start going, which is a kind of nice effect. You can also use the clock. I've been using it for doing all sorts of different things. I'm just going to use a longer cable for that, just for my own OCD. You can also use the clock. Let's take another one, and I'll use it to control something else. So I'm just going to create a new MIDI track. Let's put the clock out onto here. I'm going to send this one out of number 5, which is the next available one. And you can... So yeah, I can take 5 and I can plug it into this
Turing machine, right?
Turing machine, which is like a sequencer, generates patterns really nicely. And I can just use this to sort of create a sequence in my modular and have it clocked by Ableton really, really easily. So let's take a sequence out of here, run it into a quantizer, which just simply
makes it in pitch.
Makes it sort of fit musically with the project. And I'll plug that into here. Let's take, so this is another oscillator, which is just going to generate a tone. I'm going to run that into a reverb just to make it sound nice, and then bring it into my mixer here to be mixed. And then at the same time, let's take another one of these clocks. So right now it should sound like this. So right now we're getting a nice kind of sequence coming out of it. And what I want to do is just use another one of these clocks. Let's take this out, number 6. So
we're running out already.
Running out, yeah. Let's take this and we'll run this to trigger another one of my little envelopes. So that's just telling it to start and stop. And we'll use that to turn this sequence up and down. So you can see how we're getting something really nice out of that now. I've also got some crazy feedback coming from this weird sort of CVN thing that I've done. So you can hear that is, let's just map it from this a little bit. You can choose the range. Just on our CVN device, see, each of these can have a range. So before the dry wet was going right up, which was a bit too much.
So, I mean, you can use it as almost like, if you've got enough CV/IO, you could use it as a central patching point and use, I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't be using one of the internal envelopes to drive that. You didn't have to use an hardware one, but it's just...
Yeah, you could use whatever you want. It's totally up to you. We could have used one of the ones in CV Instrument to control it, or you can use this.
It's very much
it depends.
Mix and match.
Do you want to have the hands-on control of a physical kind of knob? Of course, you could use push as well.
Any other MIDI controller.
It just gives you options, doesn't it? And options are pretty much always good, I think.
So we were looking at, the other thing was some rhythm, wasn't there? Some rhythmic aspect that was...
Yeah, there's another little interesting device built into this. So we're going to look at this called a rotating rhythm generator, which is... yeah, it's quite an interesting little thing. Let's just, for just now, let's just stick a drum rack after it so we can kind of understand it a little bit. And then maybe in a bit we'll create a patch. So I'm just going to turn off 3 of these for just now so you can kind of see what's going on.
These are all kind of, a lot of these have been brought together by Skinnerbox, haven't they? They're artists who've been kind of pulling it, because this looks very integrated. It doesn't look like Mac stuff, it looks like Ableton... Actual Ableton devices, which sort of psychologically makes a difference, I think.
Yeah, it feels like a part of Live. Yeah, I know that's been a big change since Live 10 came out, as the Mac's integration is just so much tighter. Everything just feels better, slicker. I trust it more in Live settings and things. You know, even like more homebrew devices seem to run more stable. But these ones are just rock solid. These are just, you know, they're, as you could expect, the quality that comes out from an actual Ableton pack. So we've got... Here it's triggering a note. Right now it's playing C1, which is a kick drum. Let's just change that note to... Let's just use a tom for this. Now at the moment it's just doing it in 16th divisions. Quite basic. But down the bottom we can do some more interesting stuff. We can set it to Euclidean mode, which basically means it's running a 14-step pattern and it's trying to put 6 notes within that 14-step pattern.
I'm already hearing this is going to be quite an interesting, sort of going to get tribal pretty quick, right?
Totally, exactly, yeah. So even if you just put a kick drum on top of that.
And that's one element.
That's just
But
one.
that could be coming out of a clock output and triggering synth note or whatever.
You could send that as a trigger out to your modular and have it turn, bringing an oscillator in, or just so. That's with one, and then as we add a second, let's put that into Euclidean mode as well, and a different pattern. And suddenly you start to build up something that sounds quite nice and rhythmic. Let's take another one. Let's try and get a hi-hat in here. Oh, where have I gone? If I'm way down. So let's put this on a 16-step pattern and have every 5 notes within those 16 steps. And you can see how quickly you can build up more complex patterns. Let's bring it down a wee touch. Yeah. You can quite quickly build up something.
And this is sort of basic elements, but using all the modulation.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, nothing too complex, but what it's letting you do is just bring this into the box.
And you can say, and once you save this, then all of this routing and all of this stuff is kind of there. So you could go a long way to recalling a setup without having to.
If you can remember where your cables are,
yeah, I suppose, yeah, there is that.
Take a photo. That's the best way. Like I was taking a quick photo, but you've got all the modulation settings, which you could never set up if they were in modules. You could never recreate all of this kind of modulation stuff.
Yeah, that's the part that's totally recreatable.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
yeah, and it saves with the project, which is great.
So while we're filming this, it's not quite out yet. It's coming along soon.
Yeah.
Is it a paid upgrade, paid or free, or what's the?
It's just a free upgrade. It's going to be, so really I think it's going to change the way people integrate their analog equipment into their setups. But yeah, it's completely free, coming out soon. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Simon, for coming on the
Thank you
show.
for having me. Cheers.
That's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed that, and we will see you on another episode. Take care. Bye-bye now.